People always think the big stories start with a siren, flashing lights, smoke in the sky, men running for the truck. That's what makes the news. But the night I'm about to tell you about, the siren never rang at all. My name's Cap Sam. I spent most of my life at Station 47, in a little town you'd miss if you didn't take the right turn off the highway. I've seen houses burn, storms roll in, and lives change in a single minute. But this story doesn't start with flames. It starts with a quiet winter night, a pot of bad coffee, and a knock on the side door. It was late January, the kind of cold that feels heavy instead of sharp. Snow was drifting down slow, like it wasn't in a hurry to land. Inside the station, it smelled like old coffee, wet boots, and diesel that had soaked into the walls years ago. The guys were spread out like they always are on a slow night. Parker was half asleep on the couch, TV glowing in front of him. Jones sat at the table with a crossword open, mostly drawing little ladders in the margins. A deck of cards lay in the middle of the table, abandoned halfway through a game. I was at the watch desk. After enough years in the job, that chair starts to feel like part of you. You sit there even when it's quiet, just in case. The board was dark. No lights, no calls. The only sounds were the heater humming and the clock on the wall. 1 second at a time. Feels like the whole town went to sleep at once, Jones said. That's not a problem, Parker mumbled without opening his eyes. I smiled, but the silence felt strange. Any firefighter will tell you. A busy night is hard, but a quiet night can get into your head. I took a sip of coffee that had been on the burner too long. It was awful. That's when I heard it. Not the bell, not the phone. 3 soft knocks on the side door. We don't get many knocks on that door at that hour. If you want the fire department, you call 911. You don't walk up to the building in the middle of the night unless you're lost, drunk, or desperate. The knocks came again, still gentle, still unsure. I stood up and walked past the framed photos on the wall. Old crews, retirements, faces I could name in my sleep. As I got closer, I could feel the cold creeping in around the frame of the door. I opened it. On the step stood a tall, skinny kid, shoulders pulled up around his ears like he was trying to hide inside his own jacket. "Evening, Eddie," I said. "You know what time it is?" He swallowed. His breath came out in little white clouds. "Sorry, Cap," he said. I didn't know what else to do." His name was Eddie Walker, the kind of kid whose name shows up in the log a little more than you'd like, but never for anything big. Skipping school, dirt bike where it shouldn't be, that sort of thing. "What's going on?" I asked. "You hurt?" He shook his head fast. "No, I'm fine. It's my Nana, her house. Something's wrong. There are 100 ways for something to be wrong." "Wrong how?" I asked. He glanced past me like he didn't want the others to hear. "It smells weird," he said, "like gas or something, and the stove is making this little noise. She says it's nothing, tells me to stop fussing. But I got this bad feeling, Cap. I told her I was running down to the store, but I came here instead." He lowered his voice. "She'd kill me if she knew I bothered you." Behind me, I heard the TV volume click down. Jones called over. "Dispatch got any calls from Maple?" "Nope," I said. The board was still dark. No alarms, no gas company alerts, no neighbor calling about an explosion. On paper, nothing was happening. "Did you call 911? I asked Eddie. He shifted his weight. His boots squeaked on the wet mat. "I thought about it," he said. "But if it's nothing, I'll look stupid. And if it's something, they'll send cops and everybody. And Nana will be embarrassed in front of the whole block. You know how she is." I did know. His grandmother, Mrs. Walker, had lived on that street longer than most of the houses. Proud, stubborn, the kind of woman who'd rather carry her own groceries up the stairs than ask for help. Parker walked up behind me, rubbing his eyes. "Kid, sounds like a gas company thing," he said. "They got a 24-hour line. We start rolling out for every weird smell in town. We won't sleep at all. He wasn't wrong. There are procedures, lines of responsibility, all the invisible strings that tug at you when you're deciding what to do. Eddie looked from Parker back to me. Under the teenage attitude, he was just scared. "I know it might be nothing," he said, "but when I laid down, I kept seeing her in that old kitchen chair with the TV on, and I couldn't just lie there." He took a breath. "I figured you'd tell me if I was being stupid." There it was, the rule book on one side, a scared kid on the other. The clock behind me ticked louder than any siren. People think the hardest part of this job is running into burning buildings. Truth is, the hardest part is deciding which door you're going to walk through in the first place. "Her place still on Maple?" I asked. He nodded. "Yeah, little blue house with the big maple tree. Porch lights always on." Parker gave me a look. "Cap, is this really our business? Look, gas company's gonna want to check it anyway," I said. "No harm in us putting eyes on it first. If it's nothing, we come back and drink bad coffee. If it's something, we're already there." "You want a crew?" he asked. I glanced at the board. Town was quiet. No storms coming in. No calls pending. "Nah," I said. "No need to roll the engine. I'll take the utility truck. Grab your coat, Parker. Let's go say hi to Nana." Eddie let out a breath he'd been holding for a while. "Thank you," he said, and he meant it. The ride to Maple Street was short. Snowflakes spun in the headlights. The heater hummed at our feet. Eddie sat between us on the bench seat, hands tucked under his thighs, shoulders tight. "You smell it all over the house?" I asked. "Mostly the kitchen," he said. "By the stove. She says it's just old house smell." Parker snorted. "There's old house smell, and there's something's leaking smell. You did the right thing coming down." "Tell her that," Eddie muttered. That line stuck with me. For all the things I'd seen, I never stopped being surprised by how hard it is to tell someone you love, "I'm worried about you." Mrs. Walker's house looked the same as always. Little blue place. Porch light glowing. Snow dusted on the steps, shoveled into a narrow path. She opened the door before we could knock. "Sam Whitaker, what are you doing on my porch at this hour?" she said, cardigan wrapped tight around her. "Evening, ma'am," I said. "Heard there might be a problem with the stove. Thought we'd take a quick look." Her eyes slid past me to Eddie. "You didn't," she said. "Nana, I just—" He started. "You dragged the fire department into my kitchen over a smell," she snapped. "Ma'am," I said softly. "He did exactly what we'd hope anyone would do if they thought something might be wrong." She huffed, but something in her expression shifted. "It's an old stove in an old house," she said. "Everything smells like something. Come in before you let all the heat out." The moment I stepped inside, the house wrapped around me. Old furniture, polished wood, framed photos everywhere. The TV murmuring from the living room. Under all that, I caught it. Faint, not strong enough to knock you over. But there. Gas. Parker met my eyes and gave a small nod. "Let's take a look, ma'am," I said. "Better safe than sorry." She led us into the kitchen. The stove was an older model. Heavy knobs, chipped enamel. A clean pot sat on the back burner. I listened. The hiss was soft, but in that quiet kitchen, it was there. "Go ahead and crack that window," I told Parker. "Ma'am, Mind if we turn this off for tonight? She folded her arms. I've been cooking on that stove since before you could drive, Sam. Yes, ma'am, I said, and I'd like you to keep cooking on it. Tonight, let's give it a rest. Eddie stood in the doorway. It did smell weird, he said. I know what I'm doing, she told him, then sighed, most of the time. There's a small seep somewhere, I said. Not enough to knock you out, but enough to worry me. Gas company should come take a look. That's their job. I'll call in the morning, she said. Tonight, I replied, still gentle but firmer. They'll probably shut it down and schedule a repair. You can manage with the microwave a couple days. We both knew this wasn't just about the stove. It was about age and control and letting strangers into your kitchen. How much did he scare you? She asked, nodding toward Eddie. Enough to get me off my chair, I said, and I'm glad he did. We aired out the kitchen. Parker tagged the valve with the emergency number. I wrote my cell on a scrap of paper and left it on the counter. While Parker stepped outside to call the gas company, I sat down at the table with her. She poured coffee without asking. He shouldn't have bothered you, she said. I've lived in this house 52 years. I'd know if something was wrong. You probably would, I said. But he wouldn't. She stared into her cup. He thinks I'm fragile, she said. No, ma'am, I replied. He thinks you're important. That landed. You could see it in her eyes. That boy doesn't listen worth a darn, she said. Leaves his shoes everywhere, forgets the trash. But he ran down to your station for me tonight, didn't he? He did, I said. Most folks don't run anywhere for anybody after dark. She sighed. You know his daddy? She asked. Not well, I said. That's about as well as anyone knew him, she replied. He left when Eddie was 10. That boy's been trying to act like it doesn't bother him ever since. She looked up at me. You know how many times I wanted to march down there and ask somebody to come knock some sense into him? Not about fires, about all the nonsense, but I thought, Helen, you raised your own kids. You can raise this one, too. She shook her head. Tonight he raised me. I let that sit for a moment. He did good, I said, coming to us. You should tell him that. I might, she said, but I'll use my own words. I'd expect nothing less. In the hallway, I heard Parker talking quietly on the phone. Eddie hovered by the back door. Come here a sec, son, I said. He stepped into the kitchen, nervous. You in trouble? I asked. I don't know, he said. Am I? No, I said. You're not. He let out a breath. You did exactly what we ask people to do, I told him. You smelled something off. You trusted your gut. You got help. That's not being a nuisance. That's being smart. She's mad, he said, glancing at his Nana. She's proud, I said. She just doesn't like strangers in her kitchen. He looked at me carefully. Are you going to get in trouble? He asked. For coming out here. You didn't get a call. I thought about the quiet board and the dark streets. There are rules printed on paper, I said, and there are rules that live in here. I tapped my chest. The ones in here, I've never regretted following. He nodded slowly. We didn't stay long after that. The gas company promised to send someone within the hour. The kitchen was aired out. The stove was shut off. At the door, Mrs. Walker put a hand on my arm. "Thank you, Sam," she said. "Anytime, ma'am," I replied. She looked at Eddie. "And you," she added. "Don't you ever run down there again without telling me first." "Yes, Nana," he said. She paused. "But if you think something's really wrong," she said more softly, "you go. I'd rather be embarrassed than something else." "Yes, ma'am," he said. This time, it sounded different. On the way back, the truck was quiet. Snow spun in the headlights. The town looked softer, like someone had rounded off all the sharp edges. Smelled worse than I thought it would. Parker said, "Another couple of months. That line could have been a real problem." "Yeah," I said. "You still think we shouldn't have rolled the engine?" he asked. "We brought what we needed," I said. He nodded. "Kid's braver than he looks," Parker said. "Tough grandma, though." "Brave isn't always the one running into the fire," I said. "Sometimes it's the one ringing the bell." Eddie smiled a little at that. Years later, I heard Mrs. Walker passed in her sleep, one spring night. TV on, book open beside her, probably just how she would have ordered it. A few months after that, we had an open house at Station 47. Kids climbed on the trucks. We grilled hot dogs, showed folks the bunk rooms and the old photos. I was at the watch desk, old habits, when the door opened. A young man walked in wearing a Navy work shirt with a gas company logo over the pocket. "Afternoon, Cap," he said. It took me a second. Broader shoulders now, a little stubble, but the eyes were the same. "Eddie Walker," I said. "Well, I'll be." He grinned. "I work for the gas company now. Figured I'd come see the station from the front door for once." We shook hands. "I fix leaks," he said. "Guess it's my turn now." He didn't have to explain which leak he was thinking about. "You know," he said, "I almost didn't come down that night. Felt stupid." "I know," I said. "I almost didn't go." He frowned. "You were on duty. Of course you went." I smiled. "You'd be surprised how many calls we answer that never hit the board," I said. He thought about that, then nodded. "Thanks," he said quietly, "for coming out anyway." "Thanks for knocking," I replied. He headed toward the bay to look at the trucks. I looked up at the old clock on the wall, still ticking. That night on Maple Street never made the paper. No sirens, no flames, no dramatic photos. Just a quiet decision, a worried kid, and an old woman who got a few more winters in her blue house than she might have otherwise. People ask me sometimes which calls I remember the most. The truth is, some of the ones that stay with you the longest are the nights when nothing terrible happened. Not because there was never any danger, but because someone cared enough to knock on a door before it was too late. The siren never rang that night. It didn't need to. We were already listening.